airport, like in our case, Eagle, you cannot do construction at all unless you reallocate your, let's say, Eagle to another habitat and it looks exactly the same like the first one where we found it. So it's a big challenge in Colorado, but again, we cannot build unless we reallocate them. We want to reduce on-site parking. So for example, I'll mention that later on again. If I'm driving here in Colorado, everybody drives, unfortunately, but if we can carpool and get together to the site to minimize number of cars around the site or on site, that will be great. We have here, Emilia saw that, we have big reconstruction of our Denver International Airport. It's been more than 5 years. And I visited it once actually with the construction companies working on the project. They are parked far, far away. They need to far from their trailer to be able to come to the site. So they're not parking at the actual airport, they're far. Also on the site, we want to have areas that are completely traffic free, not to disturb the site. We want to stage equipment and materials off-site. I was visiting a site here close again to place where I live. We have a river with a canyon and there was a lot of flooding in that area. So they needed to do a lot of construction on that canyon. And all the trailers or the heavy equipment, all the materials were stored actually off-site at the entrance to that canyon. So they were going to the canyon as needing, distributing material as needed, but there was no material on actual site or any equipment. And then we need to adopt pollution. We always talk about this pollution. I'm going to focus on that a little bit more later, but we don't want to affect health of our construction workers because we didn't take care of prevention of pollution. This is something that became really common after COVID, like how we manage our on, particularly office-related work like trailers, right? So today, because of all the technology similar to today, we have conference calls. So we're meeting on, in your case, Google Meets. Here we have Teams or Zoom. It doesn't matter really. And we are meeting online versus traveling to the site, which saves a lot of time. And it's also reducing driving and reducing CO2. Overall, we are having less impact on our planet. Carpooling, I mentioned earlier, we are seeing more and more construction companies purchasing electric cars, and I'll talk more about equipment that is also electric. So we are abandoning gas-fueled vehicles. We're recycling, of course, in the offices as much as possible. Here on the upper side, you can see a picture of fences that could be reused. So anything that can be reused is much better than one-time use and sending into landfill. So reusing fencing and then monitoring energy and water consumption. I did mention it in the case of Envision, but here I'll send the slide. I already sent slides, PDF to Emilia, Professor Emilia. So Building Research Establishment Group in United Kingdom has this little software called Smart Waste that you can use to monitor how much or track how much energy and water we are consuming on the project. In terms of material procurement and delivery, we always try to do it in bulk. Like if you buy something in bulk, let's say food, it's cheaper, right? So same with construction materials. Here you can see how it's packaged in these huge bags. Of course, we need equipment to be able to do it because it's pretty heavy, but that saves really impact on the project and environment. Here you can see another kind of crane lifting big bags of materials. In addition to that, on the actual site, this is DPR Construction, one of the most sustainable companies here in the United States. you can see that they store their materials in the building that is already covered and they protect it with plastic. So we definitely want to protect materials here in Colorado for very cold temperatures. We also have very hot temperatures, like in summer 90 degrees. We want to protect our materials from moisture, like gypsum boards. We need to protect from moisture, right? Otherwise, they're useless. So that's number one kind of goal. Also, if our materials are exposed to sun, they can be really suffering from ultraviolet radiation damage. So we want to make sure they're in the shade. We want to make sure that we're not crushing and puncturing our materials. And then just-in-time delivery is really useful when we have small site. So imagine your city is big and imagine you're building a project in downtown and site is really small. There is no site for storing materials. Then we are delivering materials just in time. We need to install it. So maybe we are installing mechanical equipment and then we are bringing ducts just when we are installing. And same with gypsum boards. So really any materials when it comes to inside of the building will be just in time. Indoor air quality is really important. I do research in safety and I do a lot of research on fall protection because here in the States, and I will be interested to hear how it's in Brazil, about 1/3 of fatalities are due to falls. However, we are so much focused on falls and struck by and electrocution and things like that. But workers' health is really important. So if I'm a worker working for 30 years in construction, I could get certain diseases just because I was not protected. So here you can see this worker on the right side protecting his nose and mouth. So it's maybe dust. He's wearing earplugs to protect his hearing from noise. We can have chemicals from, let's say I mentioned carpets, VOC earlier, and vibrations. Wearing hard hat, right? So wearing eyeglasses so they are not exposing their eyes to any danger. So that's something that is mandatory and it's a right of construction workers to be protected. Also, we want to have a plan, right? Like we are not reactive, we are proactive when it comes to indoor air quality. So we are using low E materials, like low VOC materials. They're not emitting any toxins. And that's useful for people on the construction site, for construction workers, but also for the occupants of the buildings later on. If we are installing low-E materials or non-low-E materials, let's say we had installed carpet in our education building and we had to open all the windows to make sure we are ventilating enough. So same would apply for the construction site. We want to have proper ventilation when we are installing materials that are maybe releasing some chemicals to protect our construction workers. Also here on the lower right side, you have a person what our construction management students are doing in her first year of usually cleaning job site. It's really important to keep our job site clean and organized. And then scheduling construction activities in certain order. So we are working on wet activities before dry activities because if we do first dry activities and then wet, these wet activities will damage my dry material. So we need to be really careful about that. We also want to protect heating, ventilation, air conditioning equipment, and ductwork during construction. So I'll show you some images. On the left, we have DPR Construction, again, very sustainable company. They're placing under the plastic all their mechanical equipment before it's installed. After it's installed, here we have a duct that is also covered with the plastic so dust doesn't come inside, right, before we really start using the building. Any questions, Emilia, from the group? I'm shifting to another topic, so that's why I want to see if there are any questions. Good. I see one student saying yes, so thank you. Okay, I'll move on. Talk about waste. So I was trying yesterday to find more recent data from Environmental Protection Agency that is tracking how much waste we generate. This is United States. Construction is one of the most wasteful sectors, unfortunately. So if you look at these numbers on the right side, between 96 and 2014, that's 18 years. And if you look at these numbers, it's 4 times more when it comes to waste from construction. So we are increasing waste. Fortunately, between these 4 years, it didn't go up much. I don't have more recent data, but again, very wasteful industry. Here you can see on the upper side this image of demolition of the concrete building. So the largest amount of waste during construction and demolition is from concrete and asphalt concrete. If you add these two numbers, it's about 85%, so a lot, and then a little less from wood and drywall and steel. So we are recycling steel a lot. So how we can address this problem? I'm showing here an image of the curtain wall. Very big company in Europe, Shuka. I did work for the similar company in Serbia and we used their profiles. So when I was ordering materials for a project, it's always like extra 10%, extra 10% to make sure we have enough. We are cutting these profiles to a certain length. So that's why we had these waste factors. But we can be more thoughtful about that and check how we can reduce these waste factors, not just for aluminum, but for other materials. It is subcontractors' responsibility to manage waste, right? So I was working for subcontractor curtain wall companies. I am responsible towards general contractor to make sure we are minimizing waste. I assume you're familiar with the value engineering concept. So if I need specific material for a building, I'm going to compare alternatives, at least two, and then select the material that is producing less waste and in general making less impact on the environment. We can reuse materials. We have here example of the project in Denmark where they reuse this brick from other projects. We do the same in Port Collins downtown. If we are demolishing building on the same site, we are building a new building, we're going to try to reuse. We have a project that reuse brick and it looks beautiful because it's old brick, much more beautiful than new brick that we are using now. And then we can recycle some waste. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. Emilia, I don't know. I think I'm going to skip this video because we couldn't get sound to work, but I'll show some other videos. It's in the PowerPoint that I already shared. So if you want to watch entire video, it's pretty interesting, or at least first 5 minutes, because he shows how he uses salvage materials to build houses. So when we look at recyclable materials on the job site, 75% of the materials could be recycled. So we are talking about wood, concrete, masonry, metals such as steel and aluminum, and then drywall, which is gypsum wall board. So for concrete, you may be familiar, and I think Emilia is doing research in concrete area and concrete materials. The easiest one would be to crush concrete and then use it as an aggregate for another concrete. And that's really beneficial because we are minimizing waste, but also I'm not using other aggregates from nature. So again, we have double benefits here. Prefabrication is a big approach, good approach. I'll show you some examples. Purchasing material in bulk, we already talked about that. Deconstructing and designing for deconstruction, reusing that deconstructing material for another building, and recycling any demolished materials. So this is the example from one from the United States, another one from Australia, where on the construction site you have separated dumpsters. So here we have only drywall, so they are separating trash, right? They're separating waste material, no trash actually. And then we have only steel or only timber, wood, and then we have here some concrete. So we separate waste to be organized for reuse of the materials, maybe on the same project or another project. Here we have a company that is a certified green contractor by Association of Association of General Contractors here in the States. So they're really proud. They have this poster that they put on their site. How many tons? Almost 900 tons that they recycled to that specific date, or 80% of their materials. So again, there are companies here that are really proactive with recycling and reusing materials. This is from their construction site. They have 5 dumpsters for separating the waste. And then I will, Emilia, I'll try this video. We did have a sound. So I'll go back to unshare and then share again. Benefits of deconstruction. Okay. I don't know. Let me just check something. 120 to 350, 120. I'm trying to see how many minutes. I think I need to start it here. Sorry for the delay. I think I need to start playing it, then share it. I'm still working on it.
Companies. Property owners
You
can
hear
also
it?
take part in deconstruction and
No.
salvaging materials.
Hear it? You hear it?
Consumers can participate in deconstruction by encouraging their contractors to
Yes?
salvage
Okay, good.
materials instead of discarding them.
Many communities now have access to companies and organizations that specialize in deconstruction. There may be a store near you that accepts and resells donated surplus and salvaged building materials.
Deconstruction materials can range from architectural salvage like doors, windows, trim work, and molding, to items that are removed during home improvement projects and upgrades, like cabinets and other easily removed fixtures.
One way EPA promotes deconstruction efforts in the local community is to provide grants to organizations involved in deconstruction and recycling and reusing old building materials. Deconstruction provides a range of benefits for communities,
reducing the amount of material going into landfills and improving the environment. But there are also opportunities for micro enterprises, for businesses to be created, for historic preservation, and there's opportunity for workforce development.
Significant economic benefits can be gained through deconstruction because community residents and small businesses can access those materials for a fraction of the cost to buy new materials.
Whether you are taking on a large construction project or are looking for a few materials, consider deconstruction and using salvage materials. It will not only help your bottom line, it will also benefit the environment and your community.
All right. I need to go back and find my slides now. It's a lot of juggling, but I think it all. Chrome tab window. Oh gosh. I don't
Can you hear me? Oh, great. It was like internet is lost. My microphone is not working. Okay, great. Let me share again my PowerPoint. All right. Share. Make it large. Okay. I think I go to the next slide. All right, I'm ready again. So this is a nice example of prefabrication, very simple one, precast concrete, prefabricated concrete that is made in the shop. So you can see here, it's open shop. So they probably have a good air quality. I don't know where it's actually, it's Caribbean, right? So it's in Caribbean, nice weather, but they're protected from weather. It's much more precise and again, minimal waste compared to what we're gonna have if we are pouring concrete on site, cast in place concrete. So prefabrication is always a benefit. Here there is a stigma that prefabricated is not fancy or great looking, but to be honest, like Disney World had some really nice hotels that are completely prefabricated and people will not know because you can't see it from the outside. So I think that's the future. We just need to break this mindset that people have. Here is another example of the prefabrication. They're building entire unit on the site and installing it off the site and then installing it on the site. So this is a project in Los Angeles, California that had about 100 modular housing units, and they got a LEED Platinum, the highest LEED rating for this project. I will try to run a video again so you can see how it's installed. I'm now getting more experienced. Okay, start and then share. Share, start. There is no really sound, it's only video, and I don't know how, I can't make it larger, unfortunately. Let me see here. Okay. There's only music going on, so I think if you can just watch how it's installed, I think it's pretty interesting. I think this will be an interesting research project for grad students to look at prefabrication case studies, like how much it costs and how long it took. The case study look really beautiful, like it doesn't make really any difference compared to cast in place. Any questions or comments, anything? Emilia, from the students? They're quiet. I wish I'm there. It's much different, but that's good. All right, I'll go back to the PowerPoint. Make it larger. So something that we've been looking here at is robotics. We just met with a gentleman that owns a 3D printing robotics company. And this is the largest company here in the States, Icon Builders. They're in Texas. They built the entire neighborhood using 3D printing. Oh, you don't hear me. Do you hear me? No? Let me escape. Emilia, can you hear me? I don't hear you. Can you hear me or no? 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 You can hear me. Oh, you have a question. Okay, can you unmute? Thank you for the question. I'll mute myself so it's not. Myself. I don't hear. On the phone. Okay. Okay. Hi.
No, if we recycle the material, it can affect the durability of the construction.
So can you repeat the first part? The durability of construction here, but the first part.
If we recycle the material, it can affect the durability
Very
of
good.
the construction.
I'm not a materials person, but it's a good question to look at. Like if I reuse the concrete technology, if I reuse the concrete, then like if I crush concrete and I place it in new concrete as an aggregate, how strong it is. I don't know. I can look at it and let Professor Emilia know, but I'm sure there is a research out there. We had a faculty that left our program, Mahmoud. He was looking at concrete, and we have our student now looking at green concrete. And that's the major thing, like what's durability, what is the strength? Because if you look at the concrete from Roman period, you look at the Colosseum in Rome, it's still there, right? It's so durable, like thousands of years. It's a good question. I appreciate it. I can look at it. I don't know now from the top of my head. But great question. Are you doing master's or PhD? I'm asking the lady that asked me a question. Gosh, I can't hear. I cannot hear. I'm sorry. I did hear you in the beginning. First year of master, undergrad. Oh my God, that's amazing. You are amazing. For first year undergrad to have this kind of questions, that's pretty good. I promise I look at it and send it to Professor Emilia, and then she can share it with you. But I really like your question. Any other questions? Maybe I'll look at the chat. Let me see chat. Chat here. Okay. don't hear. I saw the chat, so that's good. And if you want to use the phone, we can try phone too. It's all good. Okay. Well, I like, when I hear questions from my students, that inspires me, because your professors don't know everything. We learn from you too, if that makes sense. All right. Let me share my part. I think you're getting close to the equipment, which is really interesting. Share robotics. Okay, so robotics. I started talking about, actually it's popping up. Okay, so there are limitations with the robots because it's like a crane moving and pouring concrete. You can find online, if you go online and look at how do we 3D print concrete. So there are limitations in the size, in terms of what's the size of the rooms, but also height. Like normally it's 1-story building, but people are looking at that because it's much less expensive. And here in Colorado, and I assume it might be same in the Brazil, we need a lot of affordable housing, not just for low-income people, but for people that are kind of in mid-range, because it's pretty expensive to own a home. This is an example of the building from the same company. It's really beautiful because we always think, oh, if it's something prefabricated, it's low-income housing. It's not. This is pretty nice building. They found that it's Cemex. Cemex is a company that produces cement here in the States. They found with the 3D printing, they're reducing waste by 70% reduction of time, so big reduction of time and much less labor, because now you're using the robots. You don't need real people to build. There is a whole issue with labor. What will people do now when we have robots replacing people? But I think things will probably level somehow at some point, but big, big savings. Here in the States, this is really interesting. This is something new. Several construction companies got together and signed a commitment to sustainable building practices. And they created the guidelines for other companies if they want to go in the same direction. So they explained, what does it mean to be a green or sustainable contractor? And then focusing, for example, on the materials. We saw in all these rating systems that materials are really important. Using local materials, purchasing in bulk, protecting them during construction. How and from whom you're buying your materials. So buy locally to support local economy, rather than importing bamboo from Southeast Asia, right? Like it's not sustainable at all because there's a big transportation impact, if nothing at all. How responsibly are materials used on the site? And then how to really look at that air and water quality and landfill waste. Unfortunately, here in the States, I was talking to a company, if you want to material and take it to the, not landfill, but another location where they gather all the recycled material or material for reuse, you have to pay for that a lot. So there is no motivation for the companies to do it. So we need to work on these things. Like if you want to be a sustainable contractor, you shouldn't be paying more rather than, doing it in a traditional way. These are some companies. I understand you may not be familiar, but these are some of the top construction companies that decided to go in this direction and sign this commitment and now attract other companies to join this group too. So I know we have a challenge with the technology, but maybe spend a couple of minutes to think. How many of you had internship? Like let me stop sharing. I asked this in my class too, like how many of you had opportunity to work in construction? Oh, that's great. So maybe talk to each other in the groups, and if you can, you don't have to say name of the companies. I do the same with my students. You don't have to say which company, but if you notice something that was unsustainable on the construction site or something that was sustainable. So share with your neighbor, maybe people that didn't work on the construction site. Maybe you can hear from your students sitting next to you. And then maybe we do it on the phone, or we figure it out how I can hear from you, or maybe in the chat, whatever is the easiest way to share that with me later on. Yes, phone. Okay, phone is good. So maybe a couple of minutes. I would let you talk for a couple of minutes, and when you're ready, call me. That will work. Okay, we're on the phone. Let me turn off my. I don't hear you on the. Okay, Emilia, I can't hear you. Oh, let me see. I didn't turn off this cache. This is so weird. I don't hear you. I'm sorry. I turned the volume up, but I don't hear you. Do you want to? Can they come to the computer and tell me? Is that the option or no? Emilia, I think if we use the phone like we use with your first student, that worked. Yes, phone. Okay, I think if we use the phone, let me turn this off. All right. Well, thank you. I really appreciated that you thought about this topic and share some interesting things from Brazil with me. I have only a couple of slides left to show you some electric construction equipment that is available, but to be honest, here companies in the States don't use them much. And the main issue is they cannot last long in terms of how long they operate. So I'm just going to go back and share again. Share again. All right. So this is, you probably heard of Volvo from Sweden that makes cars. This is the same company that made some electric excavators. There is a video, I think, do you want me to show you the video? Yes, no, yes, no, no, yes. Don't see anybody. Let's see at the end if we have time. Yes, okay. Let me stop sharing. I'm thinking I'm becoming more comfortable with this sharing, not sharing. So I'm going to start the video here. 0 to 1 minute. Okay. There is no sound, so that's at least I think you can see how it looks like once I get it to share. Share. It's kind of like commercial, but it's nice to see how it looks like. So this is fully electric. All right, I will stop here with this one and show you a few more construction equipment that we normally use. This was just one excavator. The problem is, like I mentioned earlier, that they don't last long. So you charge them like you would charge an electric car, but then they can operate only 4 hours on that one charge for this particular excavator. Then we have another one. This is a Caterpillar company. We have it here in the States. So you can see this one also, this excavator is a small excavator, 8 hours. So I guess because it's smaller, it can last longer. Then Caterpillar has another rope shovel that uses interesting technology. It uses its own energy and feed it back into the equipment, actually. So it's using even less electric energy, and it's more efficient than similar equipment that is standard using gas, and really reduction of the cost, about 15% per ton of the excavated material. Then we have this wheel loader, again, 6 hours on one charge. So that's the problem. Like, depends how long you need it on the site. That could be a limitation. This one, wheel loader, again, from Volvo, 8 hours. And here you can have, again, how big is the battery? We don't need to remember all these details, but it's interesting to see where we are going. And I think going forward, same with the electric cars, have equipment that is less expensive and lasts longer. So that will be my presentation today. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer. I don't see the classroom anymore. Emilia, can you hear me? Okay, now I can see you. I said I don't see the classroom anymore. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I don't hear you, but thank you. Thank you for your time and giving me a chance to meet you and to share with you some information on sustainable construction. Yeah, thank you. Obrigada. We'll talk. Okay. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Yeah. Bye. Oh, picture? Okay. Okay, I'll wait. You done? Okay. Bye. Nice to see you. Nice to meet everyone. Okay, bye.